I was like researching it, I realized there's a thing called the Disney College Program. I was like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. So then I started researching that. I think it was probably like 3 days after I found it that I was like, I'm going to apply. And then I did.
Hello and welcome to Main Street and Mickey, Inform to Inspire. I'm Abby, and here on Main Street, our goal is to bring magic to your ordinary day. We're going to bring you Disney tips for your next vacation and how to experience the magic of Disney at home. We're also going to share stories of inspiring people we hope will inspire you to make your own magic as well. Today's episode is going to be a blast. I am going to be joined by my friend Megan, and we are going to talk all about the Disney College Program, which I really hope makes a comeback soon because it's such an amazing experience. It's been about 5 years since our college program, so I thought it was appropriate to make this our 5th episode topic. During this episode, we will also be sharing stories from other cast members as well, so make sure you stay till the end to hear those. You won't want to miss it. So put on your Mickey ears and take a walk with us down Main Street, USA. This is my friend Megan, and we did the Disney College Program together.
We did.
What were your dates? I always forget because you came a couple weeks after me.
Yes, I went, I think it was February 1st through like middle of May, because it was going to be right before moving to college was when I was coming back. Yeah.
So when you applied, what made you want to apply?
I was thinking about that. And I was like, how did I find it? Then I remembered I was nannying at the time, and the kids I nannied were obsessed with Disney. So we would always sing the songs. And one day I was like, well, I'm going to look up like auditions because that would just be fun to just go to an audition. So I actually started looking like on the Disney auditions page. And then when I was like researching it, I realized there's a thing called the Disney College Program. I was like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. So then I started researching that. I think it was probably like 3 days after I found it that I was like, I'm going to apply. And then I did because, I wasn't like super excited where I was. I had just switched my major over to early childhood education from nursing. And so I was like, if I'm going to do it, this would be the time, because I haven't got to student teaching at all yet. So, and I knew I was going to have to switch colleges because I was at a community college. So I had finished up my last semester at community college, and then I decided I was going to take a semester off before going to like a different college.
I didn't know you were nursing first.
I was. Isn't that weird?
It is. I'm sorry. I don't want you to be my nurse.
I don't want to be a nurse. Don't apologize. I would have been a very bad nurse.
Oh my gosh, you really would have been. I say that in love because I know I couldn't be a nurse either.
No, yep. I'm glad I switched.
Oh, that's really funny. I remember I heard about it, I think on a vacation, and like this girl, she was staying at the same resort we were, but she was like on her program and her family was visiting. And then I heard about it then. And then like what's so funny is when I asked the cast members there at Port Orleans, they were like, I'm not really sure. We don't really have any information about that. And I'm like, what? Like thinking back about it now, I'm like, too many people were part of the college program. How on earth did they not?
Yeah.
It was just super weird. Because it feels like when you're in the college program, like once we were in it, it's like everyone was part of the college program or had gotten there because of the college program.
Yeah.
And so then I kept telling people I had the genius idea that I was going to do it like right when I graduated high school. And I was telling all my high school friends, I'm going to go audition and be at Disney. And then I didn't do it until my junior year of college. And then I chickened out, and then I didn't audition. I just decided I wanted to do merchandise.
Mm-hmm. Well, should we talk about phone interview? Because
Yes.
yeah, because like there's several stages. Like you have to send in your application and then you get a web-based interview, which is just like another application. And then you send that.
Yeah.
And then you can get a phone interview.
I forgot it. I don't know why I forgot about that. I feel and the web application stressed me out so much because I think it even said at the beginning, like they were making sure that you were being honest about your answers.
Mm-hmm.
And like one time when I applied for a job at JCPenney, I said something slightly different in a second question, and it said, "Sorry, you're not applicable," or "You lied," or something. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I think that stressed me out more than the phone interview.
Yeah, no, because it's also like if I don't like if they don't like my answers, I won't even get a phone interview.
Right.
And it's like that is really like the part where it's like you set your preferences of where do I want to work, you rank like your top 3 stuff like that. So that I mean I was stressed for that too. I was like I want to answer honestly, but I also want to answer in a way that they're going to accept me.
Exactly. Yeah, that part was stressful. Where did you do your phone interview?
I was sitting, okay, so at the time I was living with my parents in a tiny apartment. So it was my parents, me, my younger sister, my 2 younger brothers in a 3-bedroom, like 1,000 square foot apartment. It was tiny. And so I had told them, I was like, I have a phone interview and you guys need to leave. And so I made them all go somewhere else for the phone interview. And I did it in my living room. And I had written out all these notes of like, because I had watched so many videos about like, what is an interview like. And like I wrote out all these notes, taped them to the wall, and then sat there and stared at the wall on the phone.
I love it. That is so good. I love it. I know it's the same way. I watched so many videos, and it was they were almost all like positive and encouraging. And then you have this like there was this one girl, and she was like, it was awful, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I did mine. I went shopping at Target, got a pair of new pants, then went over into the parking lot of Starbucks across the street and had my interview in my car.
Nice.
Yeah. I liked the guy I talked to. I just know I kept stressing because I knew there was one girl who said that because of her past retail experience, they put her in merchandise. And I didn't want merchandise. I wanted like concierge or something like that. So I kept like trying to enforce with the guy. He's like, so you've worked in retail before? I'm like, I have, but I work in customer service more. And he was like, so you worked in retail? I'm like, fine, I worked in retail.
Yeah, I don't really remember the questions that I had put on my thing that I wanted to be either a fidget or character attendant, which I'm glad I didn't get character attendant because I don't see myself doing well in that role. And so she was asking me all these questions. I do remember this. She asked me questions like, if Alice wasn't supposed to be on yet and a family came up and asked like, where is she? I want to see her. What would you say? Because you can't say she's not scheduled to come out yet. And I don't remember what I said, but I guess it wasn't a good answer because it's character attendant. And she had asked like, would I be comfortable like operating like machinery, like heavy machinery, and like because I guess like driving boats or doing the trucks of the safari, which I'm also glad I did not get that because that would have been so stressful. Yeah.
I heard horror stories about the safari. Like one night when I was working at Dumbo's tent, like the Storybook Circus merchandise location, this one girl, I mean, she worked as one of the safari people or safari drivers. And I was like, how is this allowed?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. when I was doing my training, because I worked at Animal Kingdom, when I was doing my training in like my class, there was a girl who was in the safari. And so we were talking, and she's like, yeah, I have to drive this truck. And like, it's like, we're actually driving it. It's not on a track or anything. And I was like, that is stressful. I hate that.
Yeah. Like, I think it'd be so fun, but I don't know if it's kind of like a lifeguard. I would not want the pressure of that.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple people that ended up having to be switched off of lifeguard because they were having like nightmares, because they kept thinking that people, like, they were having nightmares of people dying on their watch, and they had to actually be transferred out of that role.
Scary. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that one. That's too much responsibility. Like in attractions, because I was in attractions, like you're responsible for their lives when they're on the ride, but ultimately you didn't build the ride.
Right.
You're not controlling the ride. You're just like watching. So yeah, I couldn't be a lifeguard.
So when you found out that you were in attractions, were you like happy about that?
Okay, so actually, when I got accepted, I was in class, and I had taken a night class, and it was like probably 2 or 3 weeks after my phone interview, because like I think they do a wave of acceptance after 1 week, and so it's like every week they do like a wave. And I remember being on the Facebook page for our program, and like people being like, I just got accepted, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And so I was in class. Obviously, I'm like refreshing my email all the time. I'm in class. We had a break, and so I checked my email, and I saw that I was accepted, and I was like, I can't tell anyone right now because I'm in school at a night class. And so as soon as I got home, like I told my mom. And then I think the next day I got my, like, this is your role. Because the first one I think is just you're accepted, right?
Yeah.
And you get that like picture thing.
Yes.
And I still have mine somewhere.
Mine's under my, I have mine.
Yeah. So attractions, when I first got it, I guess I didn't really know what it was, because I was like that. I didn't know what it was.
Because you've never really been to Disney before, right?
Never been to Disney. Well, I think we'd gone when I was like a baby, but I didn't remember. So I didn't know what that was. I was a little bummed because I wanted to do like fairy godmother or character attendant. So I was not very excited. But once I started working, I'm really happy I got that role. I feel like attractions is one of the best roles.
I think it'd be really fun. Like with like the area you were in would be fun. Haunted Mansion. But if my biggest fear is that I would get put on like Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror.
Yeah, I would love that.
No, okay. I would love wearing the outfit and being like super creepy as a bellhop, but I could not do the test rides. That would freak me out.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. No, I was. Yeah, you did really. I remember you saying how much you liked it, and now they're taking away one of your rides.
Sometimes. Okay, so when I was like working there, I never wanted to like visit that area of the park when we would go when I wasn't working, because like the noises and everything, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be at work, and this is just putting me in a work mindset. So I never wanted to go. But like when I was there, I mean, you have a lot of fun. A lot of it is little kids because it is a younger area of the park, I would say. Or people who
Dinoland.
Yeah, or people who think that our ride was dinosaur. So I was like, no, go over there. But yeah, you got a lot of guest interaction, especially if you were at Fast Pass and Greeter, which is where you stand at the front and you let people through the line. So I really liked it.
I like your costume.
It's because people say that is the worst costume in all of it. That's the one I got. They're bright green, high-waisted pants that come down to you. And they have like, it's like, like what 3D looks like without the classic red and blue like lines. those like dinosaurs and like bones all over it. And then the shirt that you tucked in was like a button-up collared shirt, and it was like one half is red, the other half is blue. Then you have like a pocket, and you have to wear these badges on there. And
But I mean, if you didn't have a crazy costume for work, did you really work at Disney?
I hated it at first. I was so embarrassed. But then like once you start working, everyone's wearing them. It's no one cares. It's like part of the atmosphere. So and it was actually very comfortable. So
I think the most uncomfortable costume I had was either for the marketplace at Disney Co-op, like Marketplace Co-op, because it was like jeans and this weird vest. The ugliest one was at Rock and Roller Coaster, which they've changed those now. And then the weirdest one was the princess outfit for Fantasyland.
Yeah, but that one was so cute though.
Oh no, I loved it, but it was just like, it was the most outrageous one.
Yeah.
The comfiest one was the one for Adventureland. That one was awesome. I would have worn that like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And the jackets. I love the jackets that you get when you work at Animal Kingdom. They're so cozy.
Yes, the big like ones.
Yes.
On the inside, yes, and they're huge.
Oh, I love those.
I saw about those, and I'm like, man, I wish I had one right now. Like, I had that at work.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen them for sale on eBay before.
Well,
then you find the roommates.
Yes.
Like I said, not official Disney. Like it's gonna, you just creep on people on Facebook.
If there was like this like questionnaire, like get to people were posting up there, and I think I posted one. I think did you reply to mine? Yeah, and we started talking.
Yes.
And, like we were like gonna put each other down, and I had met a girl at the character audition that I went to, Sydney, who I was gonna put down too. So we were gonna do us three.
Yes.
But then we found out that I couldn't put you down because you were starting earlier than me.
I was so bummed about that.
Yeah.
Especially because later on we found out that other people were put with people who didn't come until later. So to me, I'm like, if these are the people I want to room with, who cares? Like they're going to be here a couple weeks after me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm okay with that and they're okay with that, it shouldn't really matter.
The whole like housing system is just weird because you pull down and not get put with them.
Yeah.
So it's just like whatever. and I ended up in a 2-bedroom, 6 people apartment. There was 3 people in and I had only got put with one person I knew, Sydney, and then 4 I didn't know who they were before I got there. I had never met them.
It's crazy. Yeah, I had my 4 or 3, I guess, me being the 4th, and then we got put with 4 more girls that we had no idea. And those ended up being the 4. At least 2 of them ended up being the only ones that I liked.
Living with people you don't know is just a weird situation.
It is. I spent a lot of time at your place.
Yes, you did. Yeah. So roommates, yeah. I mean, if you're doing it, just know that you might not get put with the person that you're wanting to, and know that that's okay, because for the most part, you're not going to be hanging out with your roommate. Schedules are so different. And like when I got there, 2 of the girls that I ended up rooming with had done it before, and they told me that. They were like, you don't ever see your roommates, so you're going to be friends with people you work with and like people who have the same schedule as you. And I was like, what? But it's true. Like,
it is,
because schedules are so crazy for a CP. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is so true. That is a good point. You even if you have great roommates, you end up not seeing anyone. Yeah. And I'm like you, I didn't believe it either, because I had cast members tell me that the night before I checked in, and I was like, no. And I was like, or we're gonna be different. No.
Yes. So then you get accepted.
Yeah.
were we accepted? Was that November or December?
I think November.
Yeah. Because I didn't work. Well, I finished January. Or that's not right. I finished December at the nanny job that I was at, and then I finished out my last semester at the community college, and then I didn't do anything in January.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you have to wait. Once you know you're going, that's the worst part.
It is, especially because like I had never moved before, like ever. So I didn't know what to bring. And I packed, oh my goodness. I packed so much, and yet I still didn't have what I needed when I got down there.
I know. Yep. And then yeah.
The good thing is, like, when you go down there, it's not like you're on vacation and you can't go anywhere. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Walgreens, like all those places. That's, I mean, what a lot of people do. You'll see. It's just like when you go to college. So
exactly. Yeah, I would say the housing situation is very similar to college. Because everyone's in college. So you're living with a bunch of college students.
So then that is when they give you your location. Now, when I found out my location, I was devastated because it was the one, like the day before we were walking around Disney, and I said, I really don't care where they put me as long as it's not World of Disney. And that's where they put me. Were you happy that you got put in Animal Kingdom?
So, like I said, I'd never been to Disney before.
True.
I didn't really know much about it. And so when I got my location, I was like, okay, cool. I do remember thinking, okay, Dinoland USA doesn't sound super exciting. So I didn't feel strongly one way or another because I didn't know. Thinking back, I'm definitely glad I got put in Animal Kingdom because I just love the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's my favorite park. It's just so great. I love it.
It wasn't until my college program that it became my favorite, but I think it's because it was so relaxing.
Yeah.
And all the other parks are like, go, 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 go. Whereas Animal Kingdom's more like, let's take this walk or let's do, and
I think I also like how it feels like you're just in nature. There's lots of plants, which I love the Magic Kingdom because you're transported into like a new world, but then this one, it felt like you were out of Florida.
Yes.
Got new place. I don't know.
Can you imagine if we'd been there when Pandora was open? That would have been so cool.
Yeah. I was there when they were building it. Yeah. I could see it from where I worked because it's right next to Dinoland.
Oh, that would have been so cool. I kept thinking too, they're never going to get it finished. And then now it's the best part of that park. Yep.
And I remember seeing the floating island parts being built.
Yes.
I was like, what is that?
I was watching a video yesterday of someone who was going to Volcano Bay, and it reminded me, you remember when we would drive by that area and we were like, what are they building?
Yes.
And it was so cool because we saw the volcano being built. It was so cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool part of just being down there when things are going on, because you see it progress as it happens. And okay, so let's see, working. So we talked about our home locations, kind of talked about the moving in process, just where you can find stuff. So don't worry, if you don't have everything when you get there.
Yeah, traditions and training.
Yeah. Training is usually when you get the worst hours. Or, well, yes and no. Sometimes it's the best hours because your trainers are seniority, so that they work in the mornings. And then
my training was all morning shifts.
And then you get switched because you're a CP, and then all your shifts are in the evening. So
I worked opening.
Well, that's true. But Animal Kingdom wasn't open as late.
Yeah, I was going to say it was also nice because Animal Kingdom closed at 8 when I worked there, or 9 at the latest.
I was always so jealous.
So even when you had a closing shift, it wasn't crazy. Opening shift was crazy because you had to clock in at like, I want to say it was like 4:30 or 5. I mean, it was ridiculous. You had to clock in at a ridiculous time. And then because you had to be able to go through all the checks and everything, and because you have to all the sensors, everything before anyone gets there. So
yeah, no. You would have to clock in like really early, and it's been different than working at any other place because they give you like a little slip that says, you know, either welcome, start the day, or go do this. And it was like a bump in, or you were bumping somebody out. And I still have like almost all of my little slips of paper. Yeah.
I guess it's different because you don't, like, you would just replace one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is different because whenever, I mean, if you're opening, obviously it just has your name on it. And it's like, okay, I'm going to work on Primeval World. I'm going to work on T-Spin today. But during the day, like when people would rotate, because like you're rotating throughout the ride. So every 30 minutes, pretty much, there's a rotation. And it's called getting a bump is what it's called. And when you type it in, or you type in your number, they print out the slip and it has your name and then who you're bumping. And then it will go the person you're bumping, who they're bumping, and like so you're passing the slip along. And so everyone moves.
Okay. I had that happen to me sometimes at Hollywood Studios when I worked there, because it was kind of, there's so many of those little stores that sometimes I would be working in Frozen Fractals out of the Frozen musical thing, and then I would have to go over and work in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because, like, I guess it's not funny, but it was cool because you could either get a bump where you're starting a rotation, so that you would start and make your way through all those jobs and then go into Primeval World and go through all of those, or you're bumping someone out for their 30-minute break or minute break. So it depends on what you get. My favorite positions was loading and probably greeter fast pass.
Yeah.
I really loved, well, anything like on the station, anything there I really liked besides control board. I hated that. That's the one where you have to stand and like you have all the buttons. You don't really press them. You just stand there and you have to watch the screen in case someone's doing something they're not supposed to be doing on the ride. Then you have to emergency stop. That's the part that I hated, because if you e-stopped, you would have to call people and tell them we just e-stopped because of blah, blah, blah. Then you have to call maintenance. Say we stopped because of blah, blah, blah. You have to wait for maintenance to come out. And then I hated that part. Too much responsibility.
Yeah. I wouldn't like that.
No. But loader, that's the person who's standing at the front of the queue, like when you're getting on station, and they're telling people, okay, so like you're grouping people together saying you're getting in this car. You're grouping people, you're getting in this car. And it was fun because your time goes by so fast because you're always talking, you're always doing something. And then also it's like problem solving. So if a group comes up and you're like, how many? And you're like 16, well, then you have to figure out, okay, get in groups of 4 because there can only be 4. Or if a group comes in and it's like 5, then you have to figure out, okay, you can either do 2 and 3 or 4 and 1. Like, and then if someone comes up and they're like, I'm alone, well, then you're looking for only one other person because we don't put, or 2 people. So you're looking for like a 1 person or a 2-person group because you don't want to put people who don't know each other on the same lap bar. And then there one lap bar, there was 2 people. So, I mean, it was like problem solving the whole time and I just loved it.
That would be really fun.
Yeah. And then you have your loader, who's the person who's watching people get on the ride, checking lap bars before you go, making sure there's no hats on, sunglasses on. And then you have unloader. The unloader is person who's like, all right, you're going to get out and you're going to go over the yellow line and make sure there's nothing left behind in the car. It's really cool. And you could slow station. So if there was something left in the car, you're not allowed, because it's like continuously moving. It's one of those rides. So you're not allowed to step in the car with it going at normal speed. So you slow it and then it goes super slow. Then we can get whatever we need to, or if someone's having a hard time getting off, we slow it. But then after you slow it, you have to clear it. So unload and load are the ones who you have to push in a button. So like if when you're done with the slowing it, you say clear, and then tower will say clear, then you push in a button, load pushes in a button, and then the tower has to turn a key, and then it'll go back to normal speed. And I'm really shocked I remember all of this because it's been what,
That's funny. Years? Yeah, it's been 5 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like ingrained in my brain.
Oh yeah.
And then T-spin, you have the same basic jobs. You have a loader, you have a A-B gate, which is the person who lets you into where you get on in the cars. And then you have a tower and a B tower. And they both have to be pushing their buttons for the dinosaurs to rise.
Oh. Mm-hmm. That's so fun. Yeah. I think my favorite part of merchandise was where, like, kind of like you, it's like the parts where you're like more one-on-one with the guest.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hated and loved at the same time working register. I hated it because the money part freaked me out because it just was a lot of pressure because there were so many people. But I loved it because I like to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
I liked merchantaing when I was in the parks, because if you merchantain, you can't merchantain basically in World of Disney. And merchantaining was when you used one of the products, like Mickey's hand, you used to wave, or you would use a wand. Some of the people would wear the hats, but like at World of Disney, you can't do any of that. And it was like, that's so sad. But at the parks, it was so much fun. Like we like made those little fortune teller things out of park maps like all the time at Hollywood Studios, and we would ask guests, we were like, you want to play? And I had so many lightsaber fights like with kids. I had this one that just kept like hitting me, and then I would be like, oh, I lost an arm, and he would like laugh hysterically. I'm like, thanks, kid, I'm glad you think that's funny. I think so. I like merchantaing when it was in the parks, but like if you were at World of Disney and you were told to merchantain, you basically just stood there and did nothing. You couldn't stock. I liked stocking too. I thought stocking was fun because you had to like make sure you're put in the right place. People asked you questions, and I liked looking at all the merchandise. But if you got put in like the mug room, you know, like that one area, it's not that anymore because they've changed it. And so it was like the home decor room. They put you in there, they could forget about you. And they like happened all the time. This one guy, I came to bump him out, and he was like, thank you. I've been in here for like 2 hours. Felt so bad for him. And I'm gonna talk while I do this because my computer's about to die. So yeah, merchantaing and stocking was fun, except the stock shift I had one time was like one of those midnight ones, and it was just, and then you have to figure out like you can't stock everything because some things are third party, like the sunglasses. And one time I did that at Hollywood Studios, one of the other girls was like, did you restock these? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you weren't supposed to. I'm like, oh. Oops. So it's weird that they have like a stock person. To me, it would just streamline everything to have like one, like, why can't I stock that? I mean, if I put it in the right place, as long as I put it in the right place.
Yeah.
But my favorite park, I think, was obviously Hollywood Studios. I love that one. The costumes were so fun, especially like the ones at the stores in the front of the park. I always wanted to work the Tower of Terror gift shop. I thought that would have been so much fun.
Been fun.
I'm
who work there shifts away though.
What?
I said I feel like people who work there don't give their shifts away.
True. Yeah, that's something that's funny is like, you know, the places that people enjoy to work because there aren't any shifts available. And I'm really curious, like, if other people traded shifts a lot too.
Probably. What if we talk about good parts and bad parts?
Yes. So first off, I think the best parts were the off days.
Yeah. Yeah, because
exactly. What was your favorite part of the off days?
just being able to go to any park and sleeping because you're working crazy hours, and then being able to go to any park basically any time you wanted.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice because obviously I've been to Disney since then, because my first experience having like been a cast member and being able to go to Disney whenever I want, I was definitely spoiled. So like going when it's not like I can go whenever I want, so it's okay if I don't do this thing that I really like, because I can come back tomorrow after I'm done with work and do it. It's just different.
Yeah.
So that was definitely my favorite part, was just being able to go whenever.
Okay, what was your least favorite part of the experience? Not just off days, but like the experience.
Probably the living situation. Yeah, my roommate lived with on the college program. There were 3 of them that I never saw because they were in the room that we had 2 rooms. They were in the other room, so I never saw them. The 2 that were in my room, I really got along well with one of them. But yeah, Brittany. I really got along with Brittany, but there was another girl who I did not get along with. And I think it was just difference of personality. And I think she was just immature, didn't realize how to treat other people well. I'm trying to be nice and trying not to say mean things, but
you're so much better than me.
It's also frustrating because we worked opposite shifts. So I worked opening, she worked closing. So like by the time she got home, it was like an hour before I had to wake up to leave. And so obviously she's getting home wanting to eat and being loud, and she's in her room watching TV, and it's just a whole ordeal. So that was probably my least favorite part, was the living situation. Also, it's so expensive. Yeah. Like half your paycheck goes to housing. It's crazy.
I'm really curious if it would have been cheaper for us to choose our own places and to live on our own. But then I guess you have to pay for gas. And
yeah, I think because someone had that I went to college with ended up going to the program, and she was asking me, she's like, should I live on, I'm going to say on campus. Should I live on campus or off campus, basically? And I said, I think living in CP housing is the way to go, because you're not paying for electricity, you're not paying for water, you're not paying for any of that stuff. It is expensive, but also you get you get to be around everyone who's working there. And I think out of CP housing, it's like you're missing out because you're not around your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think you're right. I think there were some, it was nice to be around so many people. You had the little workout gym thing, and a lot of them had a little, or which one had, the Commons had the little Quick Mart thing. They had pools. So it was and you were in a safe environment. So
yeah.
That stuff, that's mine too, though, is the living situation and my roommates that were just awful. Oh my goodness. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your favorite part
of the whole thing? I think the people you meet is, we would have never been friends if we hadn't done it. Exactly. And obviously going to the parks whenever you want. And my management team was awesome. So the thing that is said is that Dino Land has the highest turnover rate, and that all the CPs get put there because no one wants to work there. But everyone always says that we had the best management, which is true. Our managers were awesome. They always had your back. If someone was mad, if a guest was mad at you, your manager had your back. They would come and they would stick up for you. Like I had one time where a parent screamed in my face that I was ruining their vacation and asked like, are you an idiot? Like screaming in my face. And I was like 19 and I was like, I don't know what you want me to say. It's unsafe. I was like very overwhelmed. I had never been yelled at like that before by someone I didn't know. And it was crazy. And so the person I was working with, like it was at Greater Fast Pass. And so you have to measure people. Obviously people get angry when short, which bugs me. I don't understand that because safety reasons. That's why we don't let them go on the ride.
Right.
So I had said he's too short. Dad freaked out. The person who was working fast called our manager the situation very well. And then another time, this lady got mad at me because I couldn't put more people in the car than I was allowed to. She's like, that's ridiculous. I should be able to go in with them. I'm like, listen, this is what it is. You can either do this or you can leave. And she got really mad at me. She's like, I'm going to get you fired and all this stuff. And so she went and told my manager. I was like actually nervous. I was like, am I going to get fired for this? She went and told the managers. Afterwards, the manager came to me. She's like, yeah, they said that. I don't really believe her, or I don't really care what she said, though. You were just following rules. So it's fine. But yeah, so I really liked my management people that I worked with. And also just my coworkers were great. And my job was great. There was always movement. You were always doing something. So time went by really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, you really did have. And when the managers I worked with at Hollywood Studios were great.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed with them, and they were always nice, and they were just. I mean, I wasn't even part of their like home location, but they treated me like I was. So yeah, there were some great, like there were places that had great managers. I just didn't really have those at World of Disney.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that make or break your experience, because obviously going to work, you're not going to like it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I liked the people in charge of like the jewelry counter at World of Disney. And if they had put me there every shift, I would have worked at World of Disney all the time.
Yeah.
That jewelry, whenever I got a jewelry shift, I had a great shift. It was so much fun.
Mm. Yeah. Also had a great trainer. He was so great. And obviously I had never done anything like that before. So I was really nervous.
Yeah.
Because working a ride, you're responsible for the ride. But he was so great. He was funny. He was a great teacher. He reminded me of my uncle. But yeah, everyone says everyone was like, you're lucky he's the best trainer we have. I was like, I can tell.
Mine looked like Russell from Up.
Yeah.
Grown up. Yeah.
Yeah. Another downside was you get the worst hours.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, you have your full-time who get to choose, then you have your part-time who get more seniority than you, and then CPs get whatever is left over or whatever someone's trying to give away. So you get the worst hours. Again, I don't feel like there were bad hours at the Animal Kingdom.
No.
You have those 12 a.m. shifts.
Huh.
So I was very blessed.
You were.
But just know, like, yeah, you're going to get bad hours. If you have the opportunity or like the ability to bring a car, bring a car.
Amen.
I have my car, which was great, but like you didn't. So you had to take the bus when someone wasn't available to drive you. And I'm just very glad I didn't have to do that.
That was the worst decision next to not auditioning for character performer that I made. Because that bus makes you have to get ready so much earlier, can make you late. I think the best part for me was being able to work in all the 4 parks, because it let me see, like, if I ever do get to go there again, like which park I would want to work at, or what I really like about merchandise and how each location works.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love like just working in the parks is just a whole different experience. Like people try to explain it, but it's just you don't really realize it until you get there. And like I remember working at one of the longest shifts I ever had was at Emporium, which was from like it was a full day shift. Like it was one of those really, really long ones. And which I made the bad decision of wearing new shoes. That was a terrible decision. But it was the fireworks. So the fireworks had gone off and it was still when they were doing the electrical parade. And Tinkerbell like goes by, and one of the other girls who was working with me, she's like, "You've never done this before." So she's like, "No one's over here. You go watch the like go to the door and watch the parade. Just make sure you're like paying attention for customers or guests." And I said, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Yeah." And so I went and watched, and Tinkerbell waved at me, and I think that was like one of my favorite times working, because it was just like, okay, I've worked a really long day and Tinkerbell just waved at me, so I can't complain about my work.
Yes.
And then you would run, especially at Magic Kingdom, you would run into characters hanging out backstage, and it was just, that was really cool. And I remember walking and seeing Daisy, and I had just opened a door to go down a hallway, and she was just standing there, and I'm like, oh,
hello.
Am I allowed to look at, like, hi, can I see you, or can I wait? Like, I didn't know how to act.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so weird. But they were really nice about it too. They're just like super sweet. And the scariest time I think I had was when I got lost under the Magic Kingdom. It was one of the same shifts. The first time I worked there was Adventureland, and I couldn't find my way because it's like at the end of the tunnel in the dark, and it was super creepy. And then when I worked at Emporium, I didn't know where to check in. And so I literally did a circle, because it's about a city block. I did a circle, and there's a tour group down there, and I passed them twice. And I'm like, they're going to think I'm some like stage person just to make it look like people work down here.
This person's just walking in circles.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just one of the extras. Oh my goodness. Okay, what was your most Karen-y experience with a guest?
The lady that tried to get me fired.
Okay, that was your worst one?
Yeah, because, okay, so let me explain a little better. What had happened was, at Triceratops Spin, you have a dinosaur, and then you have a bar in the front, bar in the back. Pretty much the rule is you can have an adult and a child, an adult and a child. But you really shouldn't put two adults in the same row, because there's not enough room and it could be unsafe. So this lady had wanted to put both of her kids in the front, and then so it was like a grandma, her and her daughter in the back. So it was like her grandkids in the front, her and her daughter in the back. And I was like, ma'am, you can't do that. You can have you and a child in the front, and your daughter and a child in the back. Or because she was like, well, I want both the kids to be in the front, because the front is the lever that controls up and down.
Oh.
So she was freaking out, and I was like, if that's what you want, I can put you guys in the front, and then I can put them in another car in the front. And she's like, no, that doesn't work. Why can't we do this? We should be able to do this. I was like, ma'am, it's a safety reason. You can't have the kids alone in the front because they're too little. Like it's open. There's no door. This stays open, and you just have like a little seatbelt. I was like, that's not going to work. You have to be on the outside seat. And she was yelling at me, screaming. And so finally I was like, you can either do this or you can leave. And she was like, how dare you tell me to leave? Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get you fired. What's your name? Oh, Megan. Okay, I'm going to get you fired. I was like, okay.
Such a Karen.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
I'm not changing the rules for you, lady. I'm not going to risk your children's or your grandchildren's life for this.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I graduated. I actually had the graduation ceremony, which was really fun, because you get the whole, if it's not raining, and thankfully it didn't rain on my first graduation. I think it rained on the second one or something. And no, it rained on the first option for my graduation party. But anyway, so they like, you have to stand in this super long line, and then you go and get your diploma and your picture with Mickey and Minnie. And then you get to go eat, and they have like a party and stuff. And then my friends and we just went and hung out at the parks because we wanted to do that rather than stand in a lawn outside in the Florida heat. But you didn't graduate.
Didn't.
Do you regret that?
I do. Well, I mean, yes and no. Because the reason I self-termed is because my nephew had been born, and I am a big family person, and he's just so cute. I couldn't stand it. I needed to move back so I could snuggle him. So I don't regret that, being able to spend time with my nephew. Because I moved in with my sister and my brother-in-law, so I got to hold him all the time. So I don't regret that part. But I think if I did it again, I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I would leave that time anymore. Yeah.
I left early. Like, I graduated and then I started my second program and then left early because of my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but yeah, I do regret it. And to anybody who's doing college program, don't self-term.
No, don't do it. It's tempting. It is tempting sometimes.
Yeah, because like now I'm like, I want to go every day, but I can't.
Yeah. Sad.
But also, I think if I had stayed, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have ended up leaving. Maybe I would have just kept extending.
Which is what most people do.
Yes. And I think it would have been fun, but I am glad that I have I don't want to say real job because that's a real job.
But as an intern, it is different.
Yeah.
Like some of the people after us who stayed, they became like managers or what is the equivalent? There's manager and then there's.
I was trying to remember this the other day too, because the memory popped up, but I can't. I know what you're talking about.
Because like it's the ones who are just a little bit older than the college
yeah.
They wear the white shirts.
Yes, and I can't remember.
District?
They're always around.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, that's going to bother me.
I know, look it up.
That's going to really bug me. See, it's like things like that you think you'll never forget.
I know, I can literally picture their faces. And I know one of their names. I don't know the other guy's name. I
follow some of them still on Facebook.
Yeah, I follow people I used to work with, and all the time they'll like post these memes about Disney, and I'm like, it's so funny that I understand it.
Oh, I love that.
It's like part of a club. All the like cast member memes, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes.
Like
we should do one of those TikToks that's like, say you worked at Disney without saying you worked at Disney.
Yeah. Just kidding. Hold on. Coordinator,
yes. District coordinator.
Yes.
And then the manager.
Yes.
Manager, coordinator, us.
Trainer, and then us, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I remember that now.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good coordinators.
Yeah.
Those were the ones always to have fun with.
Overall, my experience was great.
Yeah.
And
definitely. Well, I'm so glad you got to talk with me on here about this, and that we got to share some of the stories from other cast members. And but yeah, we definitely recommend doing the Disney College program when it starts back up again, and hopefully that will be very soon. And enjoy the new housing, those of you who get to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll have Megan back on here again, and we'll be talking about other Disney stuff. So it's time for some other cast member stories, and the first two come from Darby. Darby and I did the Disney College program together as well. She and I met while at Hollywood Studios, and she was just so sweet, and I can't wait to share her two stories. The day they were shutting down the streets of America, we had a party backstage with food brought in from the leaders and artwork and stuff. It really was a fun celebration. I had just had a breakup, so I was not feeling like partying or eating. I was very upset and kind of sat away by myself for all my breaks. At my last break that day, one of our leaders made me a plate of food and brought it to me with the art that they had made to give out to all of us. She saw I hadn't eaten and could tell I was feeling depressed, so she brought me a plate. She told me to eat it and to make sure I ate something before going back out. As a 21-year-old who was across the country, away from my family for the first time, working for a huge company, it was really meaningful to me to know that she cared that much. She didn't need to do that, nor did I expect her to even notice that with all the people working on any given day. It was very meaningful and special. Darby's other story comes from on stage while she was working at Watto's Grotto. She said, "Me and some of my coworkers were working lightsabers. The store was always dead because it was way in the back and no one knew it was there. We were just trying to stay busy and there were at least 3 of us. Well, this family came in with a little girl dressed up as a Jedi and a toddler dressed up as an Ewok. He was the perfect height and looked just like an Ewok. It was so cute. Well, all 3 of us came over and totally acted in character like Jedi Masters, helping them create their lightsabers and having a lightsaber battle with both of them. We were with them for probably an hour or so it was the highlight of my time at that store. Both kids were so happy, and you could just see how happy they were and how happy their parents were. One tip I would give someone is to enjoy every moment. Make friends with your coworkers, and just make sure to have fun. The job is only as fun as you make it. Guests love to have fun and joke with you, so get into character. Yes, there are bad days, but the good days are so worth every bad day you might have." And our last story comes from Kristen. She worked as a fidget, which, if you don't know, is a fairy godmother in training. Those are the ones that work all the magic at Bippity Boppity boutiques around Walt Disney World. I loved what Kristen had to say when I asked her what part of some of the favorite things that she would have to say about the program. She says, "Every day feels like you're living in a fairy tale, especially at the boutique. But no matter where you are, there's always a part of you that looks around and thinks, is this real life? That's not to say that it's always easy, because you and I both know that it isn't. But where else can you end a day with a view of fireworks? Where else can you tell stories as you go about your day? Where else can you be over the top and have it considered to be a good thing? Where else can you make what feels like actual magic for people?" I love it. I couldn't have said it better myself. I love how I'm going to end it there with what Kristen said, because it truly is a magical experience, and I really hope it comes back so that other college students get the chance to make magic as well. Well, we really hope you enjoyed our show today, that it brightens your day and makes you see the magic all around you, even if you're more than a few miles from the happiest place on earth. So listen to our podcast every Monday, and if you like the sound of this, please subscribe to this podcast, leave us a review, tell us you listened. Also follow us on Instagram at Main Street and Mickey. And above all else, have a magical day. This episode is brought to you by Shop Bounding on a Budget. Vintage Disney and dapper items for sale at Bounding on a Budget prices. Haley has amazing finds in her shop that will be sure to add the perfect element for your Disney lifestyle, either at home or for the parks. So make sure you check her out on Instagram and her website, which I will include in the links below.